Welcome to Dominate Real Estate Podcast, the $1 Million Blueprint where luxury meets expertise in the world of high-end real estate. Hosted by Taliya Bashani, top real estate attorney, and Carina Tom, president of New World Connect Title. Stay tuned as we dive deep in the minds of top producing luxury real estate agents, uncovering the strategies, insights, and secrets that have helped them make millions. Get ready to level up your real estate game as we guide you through the latest market trends and the stories behind the most exclusive deals in the industry. This is the place where sophistication and success dominate. And now, recording live from the Hard Rock Hotel in New York City, here are your hosts, Taliya and Carina.
Welcome to Dominate Real Estate Podcast, the podcast where real estate's top performers spill their secrets of success. Recording live from the Hard Rock Hotel in New York City, I'm Taliya Bashani.
And I'm Carina Tom. And together we bring you the strategies, mindset, and moments that took the industry's most successful agents from open houses to powerhouse closings.
Whether you're an aspiring agent, a seasoned pro, or just looking to level up your real estate game, you're in the right place.
It's time to dominate real estate.
We are excited to welcome our guest, Ronita Kalra from Compass.
Thank you.
And cast member of $1 Million Listing New York. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Well, now tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in real estate.
So I'm a child of immigrants. My father started his own business back in the 80s in New York City. He was selling jewelry. So sales is kind of in my blood. I always knew I wanted to be in sales, but they don't really teach you what that looks like in college. So when I left, I worked for a startup financial market research house, and I was selling the platform service. So people would subscribe to the platform, and I did that for 4 years. Then I left and I went to Apple, where I worked in business sales. So I really had a great experience learning from a startup in New York City, where we were like sitting at desks cold calling on our Blackberries.
Wow, yeah.
Then I worked for a Fortune 100 company. So I learned a lot from both sides. And towards the end of it, I realized you're kind of doing the same thing. You're
Absolutely.
in business development, you're an account manager, you're trying to retain business by maintaining relationships. And I got tired of it. And I was like, I don't want to just keep doing the same thing for a different company. And it was actually my mother's idea. She's like, if you're going to sell something, why not sell real estate? Sell the most important and the most expensive thing people ever buy. Exactly. And I was like, you know what? Why not? So I got my license, like everyone else in New York City does.
Right.
And that's how I got started.
You know what? I love that story because that actually sets you up for this real estate career that you're in. And, when you're with these big corporate companies, the amount of sales training that they give you, it's just basically an amazing tool for the rest
100%. I really feel like
Apple.
the startup company, I learned how to cold call.
Mm-hmm.
So we would sit there and just bang out 60 calls a day. And so I gained a thick skin. People hanging up on you,
Yes.
people telling you to go F yourself. I learned how to cold call, which is such an important skill, and I feel like is a lost kind of way of sales today.
You got to get through the nose.
Yeah, you got to get through the nose and not be afraid of it.
Absolutely.
And then at Apple, that is a very structured organization. They have more money than the US government.
Right.
Yeah.
They really taught me customer service. I mean, the level of customer service that company upholds speaks to why they're so successful. And I learned a lot from then as well. And then, when I started in real estate, I have to say, all the stars aligned. It was a little bit of kismet. I wanted to work on a team, and I interviewed with several team members. And at the time, Luis was brand new to Douglas Elliman. I was brand new to Douglas Elliman, and my manager has suggested that we meet. And like I said, it was a little bit of destiny, and I ended up working for him, and I was his assistant. And I really feel it was the best way to learn the ins and outs of the industry because you have to do all the dirty work when you're the assistant.
Yeah,
you have to do all the paperwork. You have to
But that's
talk
the
to
best
super.
learning experience.
I agree.
And you got your hands dirty.
Yeah.
100%. I'm also a person that I learn best when I do.
Yeah.
Like if I sit there and I read a chapter, I'm not going to tell you that I could retain everything I read. But if I sit there and I take notes and I write it down and then I quiz myself on it, like I need to do it.
Right.
in order to learn.
Yes.
So I was thrown into the mix with Luis, and he
love
made me
Luis.
do everything,
Amazing.
which was, in my experience, like the best way to learn the ins and outs of the industry.
And you held your own, I mean, of course, real estate and reality TV, what the producers put out there versus what's really going on behind the scenes. Like, you're hitting the ground running. You're in this rat race. You're dealing with all types of clients, all types of personalities, and we know it's not just fun and games all the time. What do you think is the biggest misconception of real estate agents?
Everyone thinks this job is easier than it is. I think the biggest misconception is like we start and people feed you leads, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Also that, if you didn't go to business school, and I majored in economics, I didn't know what I wanted to do. You have to come up with a business plan. You have to run a business. You're an entrepreneur. You have to do marketing. You have to do social media. You have to run a pipeline. You have to maintain the business you have. So you're running a business. And I think the biggest misconception is that it's easier than it seems. But you really have to wear, 10,000 hats to be a real estate agent. And to properly run a business and actually make money. And I think in New York City, it's unlike in the suburbs, people kind of do this part-time. But I don't think, in order to survive here, that's possible. And so this is, a 24/7, 365 kind of job.
Exactly. And you, like you said yesterday, it's you really eat what you kill. When I started my practice and I left the law firm and I had this, cushy structure overhead, people don't realize you actually work harder when you work for yourself than when you're working for an institution, because you are your own boss and you also have to be able to get out there and sell and make your own money.
100%.
So that's a big testament to, your work ethic and your drive in this business. What would you say really does it take to break into luxury sales?
For me, it happened organically. I don't think that there's like a secret sauce per se or like a recipe that you have to follow. It happened organically. The biggest misconception is that there's a different skill set for luxury sales. And that couldn't be further from the truth either. I mean, it takes the same amount of work to sell a studio for $500K than to sell a $20 million
It's just what
townhouse.
room you're in.
100%. I mean, it's just the
100%.
product, right? You're selling the same. The process is the same. Honestly, the clientele, very similar. It's just a matter of what the price tag is. You're doing the same amount of work. And in fact, I've found that the lower end sales require more work. There's more headaches.
They require more attention.
100%. So it's just, it happened organically for me. And I think it came with life. I started this when I was in my 20s and I didn't know many people that could afford luxury real estate. Then I got married and my sphere of influence, we all kind of grew up together. I became a mother. Now I have 2 kids. They went to private school. So it happened organically. My sphere of influence, my network grew just because I grew in life, And so now the people that I'm associated with are in their late 30s. We are not 40 yet, by the way. We are knocking on 40's door, but we're not there yet.
Listen, the 40s are the new 30s.
I
Don't
know.
knock it. It's going to get better.
And all that means to me is the older we get, the more sophisticated we get, the more money hopefully we make. And so the more affluent the clientele becomes just because that's who you surround yourself with. Right? When you're in your 20s, you're all starting out and you're all kind of hungry and you're getting there and you're starting out in your careers.
But either way, you're hitting a key point, and it's going after your sphere of influence, right? So having your antennas up, being aware, constantly looking for the close, right? So, as you're building relationships within your sphere, a lot of times people complicate sales. They're like, who do I contact? What do I do? And I'm like, well, what are you into? Or where is your life at? And if you're someone that's just at home all the time, then maybe change that. Like start going out more and going after hobbies that you may like, if you don't have any children or marriage or there's always a way, but at any moment, if you have your antennas up, there's opportunity everywhere. It's all perspective.
This is a business that your life is your business.
Exactly.
So my clients are my friends. My clients are parents of my daughter's friends. Like That's who my clients are.
Find your tribe.
My clients are people that I hang out with regardless of whether or not they're using me for real estate.
Right.
So it has to be organic. If you're uncomfortable talking to your friends about your business, this isn't for you.
Right.
No, and you're with the wrong friends. You
Right.
have to change your table. If you're not being acknowledged and appreciated, don't force it. Just change your peer group. You have to change it.
And it's also a business where your clients, like say somebody was referred to me by a friend and they weren't my friend. Through the process of buying a home, you become my friend.
Exactly.
I mean, we spent countless hours together. I know everything about your finances.
Yeah.
It's a very intimate relation.
Yes.
And this business is very much affected by life circumstances. Divorces, you call real estate people. Marriages, you call real estate people. You're having more kids, you call real estate people. You're an empty nester, you're calling your real estate agent. There's always a switch in your lifestyle when there's a big event in your life, and your real estate agent is always a part of that.
Yeah.
So now, team or solo agent?
I have a small team.
Okay.
I'm a big believer in the small team. I actually have a small team, and it's 3 other women, so we're 4 total. I'm open to men being on my team. I just haven't found the right one.
Okay.
But I have a
Ready,
very
you guys
strong
out there.
team of 4 powerful women. My agents, there's Rachel and Brenda. They've been in the business for a very, very long time. They're seasoned agents. And then I have Electra, who's my director of operations. And I think with growth, the team kind of happened organically as well. I found that I've been busier, which is always good in the real estate world. And so it's nice to have people that I trust because they need to be me when I'm not around. And I can hand people off to them. You know, there's only so many open houses one person can do on a Sunday.
Right.
So the team, I like that it's a collaborative effort and we all have the same goals in mind and we help each other out. Every Monday we have a team meeting and we really just talk about our business. We talk about what's happening with our clients and issues that we're facing, and we give each other advice. This could be a very lonely business if you don't have a team.
Yeah.
Even if you do have a team.
Yeah, I agree. Because
So-
it like kind of just gives more thoughts and ideas and how to perfect what you're saying when you're going out there, whether you're showing a listing or you're working with a buyer, there's an idea or something that you're doing different.
Or something
You
I
could-
saw yesterday. Maybe
Exactly.
this will work for the person you just met.
Yes. I
It's also,
agree.
you know, every deal teaches you a lesson.
100%.
And you're only as good as your last deal. So everybody on my team is doing a deal right now, and we're all learning something because they're doing a deal, and I didn't know that you needed FERPTA.
Right.
If your dad is in Greece and purchased the apartment for you, but you're an adult and a U.S. citizen, and he's not. So we just learned about FERPTA. If you don't know about it, talk to your banker.
Or me, your attorney.
Living to you.
I can definitely tell you all about FERPTA, but there's a lot of loopholes and ways that you can get around FERPTA.
Which I learned.
Yes.
Yes, from my good real estate attorney.
Yes.
But
Tell us, Talia.
Well, no, I mean, I had a client like that, a situation where it was 2 sisters, and the sister was in the UK and the other sister was here on a visa, on a work visa. And long story short, she was unmarried, she didn't have any kids, and she bought this property at the Edge condo in Williamsburg years ago. And she put her sister on the deed, you know, as co-owner. So now here she was going to sell the property. And I was like, Julie, you're going to be subject to FERPTA. You have your sister on it. And I said, but listen, we're going to do a quit claim deed. We're going to remove your sister. She has, you know, 0. She's not receiving a penny of the proceeds. She was really just on there as a safety net if anything happened to her, you know, over the course of time. And so we did a quit claim deed. We removed her sister, and then we put the listing on the market. So then the broker listed the property because I didn't want, you know, it to seem like we were trying to like skirt, you know, FERPTA tax. For all of you who don't know, the FERPTA tax is 15% of the gross sales price. It's a withholding tax that foreign investors of U.S. property have to deposit with the IRS as an exit tax because they are not paying U.S. income tax. So long story short, we removed her from the deed and then we listed the property for sale. And then she essentially closed within 90 days afterwards and she got to avoid the tax. So you're right. You're learning things, every
Every
day from, these new deals and new situations that come up.
You could do a whole podcast on fur.
Yes.
I want to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, there's a lot of legalities, but we
Absolutely.
all work together as a team, which
Yes.
is great. We have Karina, our
Title.
title expert, who's been in the business over 30 years, with, powerhouse agents like yourself and the attorneys. So we all really facilitate
Absolutely.
a smooth closing. And at the end of the day, that's all the clients really want.
It's so beautiful when I see a real estate transaction just going in harmony, right?
Yeah.
When the buyer's attorney,
What are
seller's
those?
attorney- It happens.
It happens. You gotta switch over to this
You
team.
have to have the right team. I'm telling you.
Easy
even-
transactions?
Well, you know what it is? Every property has its history, right? Just
Yeah.
like every closing, every real estate transaction, it's a learning experience and it's a different story every time. But if you have a powerhouse team like lender, title, real estate attorney, and you are in connection with them all and they know each other,
Yeah.
when things arise, right? Because once again, properties have
Yeah.
whatever's going on, right? They have their own history. But when things arise, we're in communication
Right.
with one another because we have that relationship, right? And that professionalism and that expertise from being in the industry for so long that we can overcome these things that are coming up and we can find solutions.
And it's about
that's
working.
what I mean about the harmony.
Yes, and working proactively instead of reactively.
Oh,
Like if you call
exactly.
me and you're like, look, Talia, we're buying this, brownstone in Brooklyn. I don't think it's legalized. There's somebody living, in the lower level, but there's only a 2-family CO. I'm going to get right on DOB, or I'm going to call Karina and I'll say, look, we're going to need, a CO search because the CO is outdated, whatever it is. So these are things that we can do to get ahead of the game, to ensure that the client isn't left holding the bag, because the last thing you want as an appraiser going out to the property,
Right.
seeing an illegal tenant, in the cellar, living there with a full kitchen and a full stove, the drill. So it's really in Brooklyn. So you have to get ahead of the game, but disclosure is key. So the more you know in advance and the more that you do utilize your team, the smoother the deal is going to go, So yeah, that's one thing that I really,
I
love about
agree
the
because there's been situations with Talia where we're working and she has a client and she's reached out to me and I love her going forward thinking, right? She's like, let's be proactive. Let me contact my title company and Karina, can you do this? And then we work together in synchrony and it's just a beautiful thing. And so it does happen. Listen, it's not like a unicorn.
I mean,
It really
I tell
happens.
my agents, like, you are the quarterback. So just because you have an accepted offer, we got a long way to go.
Yeah.
So you got to, unfortunately, stay on top of everybody and make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do to get to the finish line.
Well, listen, I'm from the old school. I don't count my money until I have that check.
Me
There you
neither.
go.
Me neither.
I never count my money until I have
I
that
mean,
check.
that's the biggest jinx I've
Yes,
ever heard.
Right.
100%. I mean, you need to be at the closing table.
Yeah,
before
I need to
count
have
it.
that check.
Exactly.
100%.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break and hear from our sponsors, and we will be right back.
Hi, everybody. Ari Brody, the mortgage man here from Cross Country Mortgage. So my pet peeve in the mortgage industry is it's the largest purchase of everybody's lives, and it's frequently the most stressful. So my sole objective and my sole job is to provide a super high level of service. Me and my team go out of our way to sit there and make sure this process is as easy and as smooth as we can possibly make it, to take away as much of the stress as we possibly can. My job, my goal is to create raving fans. And my sole objective is to sit there and provide you with such a high level of service, you're going to walk away saying, wow, Ari and his team were freaking awesome. And therefore, you're going to refer me everybody you know, because my business is 100% referral based. We have a lot of programs, we have a lot of products, we have a lot of different ways that we can sit there and take care of you. If you have questions, concerns, anything you'd like to know, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to be a resource and help out any way I can. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. We are here with Ronita Kalra from Compass. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on our show today. One question. What is the biggest game changer of your career?
Oh, it's actually pretty easy. Last year, I did the biggest deal of my career, which was a $21 million townhouse.
Wow.
And it's actually a fantastic story because we got it from a cold call.
Wow.
So we cold called the owner 4 years ago.
Okay.
And we said, we see that you have this townhouse on the market. At the time, it was listed with Christie's or Sotheby's. There was 2 brokers before us. We were the 3rd broker. You know the saying, you should always be the second wife and the 3rd broker. We were the 3rd broker. So
I never heard that saying, but I like
it. So we went and met with the owner. And at the time she said to us, look, I'm committed to, I forget the company, but whoever it was at the time. But I have other real estate that you could help me sell. So we said, sure, we'd love to help you. She's like, I like your energy. You guys are young and hungry. I have a studio and I have a 1-bedroom. She had a whole portfolio of real estate investments. So we said, no problem. So we helped her sell a studio. Then we helped her sell a 1-bedroom. Then we helped her sell another 1-bedroom. Then we helped her sell another 1-bedroom.
Wow.
So 4 years later, fast forward, we helped her, put another tenant in place. We just kept the relationship going, but we kept asking, how's it going with the townhouse? Did you get any offers? How's it going? How's it going?
Right.
So finally, at the closing table of one of her listings, it was like, I think it was a 2-bedroom. It was a little over $1 million. She said, okay, girls, now it's your turn to sell the townhouse.
Amazing.
Wow.
So she gave us a shot, and I told her right to her face, I said, I will sell this for you if it takes everything in my, it's going to sell.
Yeah.
But it took over a year. We went through COVID. And I did a really cute marketing strategy. So I asked her, can I please stage the house? Because it was an empty townhouse right on 63rd between Madison and the Park. Completely empty. So 10,000 square feet when you
Just
walk
sitting
through.
there.
Wow.
Just sitting there.
vacant?
You just walk through and it's room after room after room. It's hard for you to remember what you're seeing.
Yeah.
So I said, please, can we stage it? And she didn't want to spend the money on that. I said, okay, please, could we have the Kips Bay Decorator Show House? They approached us. Could we do that here?
Right.
She was like, no, too much liability insurance-wise. I said, okay, could I do maybe a jewelry trunk show? Could I invite, diamond jewelers to come and I'll invite the moms of the Upper East Side?
Creative.
Great idea.
Very creative.
Nope, don't want the jewelry in the house for security reasons.
Wow.
I said, okay, could I have a broker's open house?
Right. Exactly.
Like the most boring thing.
Wine
No.
and cheese.
She's like, no, I'd rather you do private showings. So I said, okay, well, she's not letting me do anything. How am I going to sell this house? It's already been on the market with 2 other, by the way, seasoned, successful, older than me, been in the business longer than me brokers. How am I going to sell this house? So I decided to create a video, and I had a ballerina and a violinist. That's it. A violinist playing music and a ballerina dancing through the house. We recorded a commercial and we put it in taxi cabs around the city for 6 months. And not that is what sold the house, but it was good exposure. And it was
Great
branding.
marketing.
My face wasn't in it. You didn't see me. It wasn't like, look at me and my big listing. It was just, look at this beautiful house on Central Park. Wouldn't you want to live here?
Oh my gosh.
That's so creative. And I love how, you get to a certain point in life and you reflect on the journey.
Yeah.
Right. And when you said, I started by cold calling.
Yeah.
And then look at what happens. Fast forward, you're in your real estate luxury career.
Yeah.
And guess what you did? You cold called and you got this lead and you closed it.
That's right.
Which is, listen, the power of cold calling.
Yeah.
Always sharpening your tools is important, and trust the journey.
Yeah. And listen, I didn't have anybody that I knew personally who had a $20 million listing, and because I didn't have that, how do you get to know those types of people? You got to break through.
Absolutely.
And she said to us, we hired several brokers who told us that they didn't want to help sell our studios, that they were too big for that. And you guys didn't blink, and so not turning away business could lead to more business.
That's very important because, going through my, in this real estate industry, I would see some realtors like, oh, no, I don't do co-ops. Oh, I don't do rentals.
Right.
And it's like, you know what? Don't say no. Take everything. Learn every aspect of the business. And every experience is an opportunity to be learning. And that's where you're getting your seasoning. A lot of times people want to skip the journey and just get to the CEO part. And I'm like, no. That's not how it works.
You have to
It's
crawl
life.
before
There's
you
nothing
can walk.
like
Yeah.
life experience.
Yeah. And,
So-
starting out and being like, I only want to do luxury real estate sounds great.
Yeah.
But that's
I'm only in
ridiculous.
luxury.
Realistic.
I'm only in commercial.
Yeah. And
No.
you'd be surprised
Humble.
how many, apartments that I have sold that have led to luxury sales. Somebody calls me and says, I'm a doctor. My daughter is interning in New York and I want to buy her a studio apartment. She's going to be an investment banker. You help sell them a $560,000 studio. And then 4 years later, this woman gets married and she buys a $1.5 million apartment. And then they have kids. And now she's married and dual income and they buy a $4 million apartment. And then you help sell that apartment. So it all starts with just helping them from the start and not saying no to business.
Willing to serve.
Right.
When you have an attitude of service, that's where it comes, and the universe just brings that towards you. And
100%.
you can't say, oh, well, you only have $100,000 or whatever, or
Right.
200,000. But you don't know where that's going to lead you to.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
if you have that attitude of always wanting to serve within your industry, then it all comes back to you tenfold. So I believe that. That's
Me
just
too.
my way of being.
Wholeheartedly.
Yes.
And I love that, with your marketing plan and your marketing idea, that you really were thinking outside of the box, because a lot of people do what's, tried and true with the, staging, which I love staging. I'm all about staging because I think it really increases the perception of value, and people, statistically will offer more money in the price for a property that's staged as opposed to vacant. I teach that a lot in my coaching program to a lot of agents that are looking to win more listings. And I'm like, staging's the way to go. But you also have to think outside of the box like you did. So having a violinist and a ballerina and just a video and putting it in taxi cabs, like nobody thinks about things like that.
So beautiful.
So where do you see the future of marketing really going? So we know you have to be a marketing genius in this business. And the future of marketing is really changing, especially with AI and all these digital tools and, just automatic functions. How are you staying ahead of the game, and what are you doing with your marketing strategy?
So it's basically a full-time job. You have to be on top of it all, and it's changing so fast. So honestly, I think the name of the game is consistency, right? Like posting all the time on social media, having an active presence online, because we're in a generation where you want instant gratification.
Yes.
I want to be able to search New York City luxury real estate, Central Park, and like scroll. I just want to be able to see it.
Yeah.
So be able to deliver on that, right? And being on top of every listing should have a video. There should be, I was one of the first to use drones in New York City. Everybody thinks that they're illegal, and they're actually not. Like you can even fly a drone in Central Park. There's just certain limitations as to how high you can go and what neighborhoods you can't shoot in.
Right.
So if I have a property with outdoor space, you better believe there's going to be a drone there.
Right.
And it's going to show you the view of the building. It's going to show you the view of what you can see off your balcony. And I think that's what people want. They want to see basically a real life experience of what it's like to walk through that apartment, what it's like to live in that space, and being able to show that to them through your marketing and through social media is super important. And you just have to be able to adapt. I mean, do I want to get up and dance on camera and act a fool? No. But am I going to make videos that are stupid and silly every now and again? Sure.
Yeah.
And it's for clicks, and it's engagement, and it just brings you back to my page. And then guess what? 4 out of 5 videos, I'm teaching you about a lesson or about FERPTA, or I'm giving you advice on what you should do if you're buying a co-op. So, some of that is necessary, I think. And if you're not somebody who's interested in doing that, that's okay. But you have to come up with a brand and you have to stay consistent.
Exactly. No, that's very well said. And you are also appealing to a wider range of an audience, right? Because you can get and reach out-of-state clients. You can reach global clients. I'm sure you have international clients that come just by virtue of seeing, an interview or seeing one of your videos. It could really, so that I think will expand your reach and increase your business.
I'll tell you, it was a rental deal. It was a $9,000 rental deal, but I did that whole thing through Instagram. Someone reached out to me and said, I have a family and I want my kid to go to PS6 on the Upper East Side. I see that you live on the Upper East Side. Where can I rent an apartment? She was from Serbia. She was an influencer in Serbia.
Wow.
She contacted me. I FaceTimed her 4 different apartments. Wow. She chose one. She signed a lease, moved here sight unseen.
Oh my God.
All through Instagram.
I love that.
Oh my gosh. See?
Yeah, I love
that.
And listen, that was a $9,000 rental deal.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it could be a $9 million investment deal.
Absolutely. Renters or buyers.
So at the end of the day, I mean, being someone that you have an online presence is so important. The first thing I do when I get a new client is I Google them.
You Google them. Exactly.
I mean, new client, new seller, new buyer, whatever it is, you Google them.
Right.
Right? If somebody says, I want to use this attorney, I Google you.
Yeah,
Do you have good reviews? What are you
Right.
doing? So somebody's going to do that to me. I want them to see that I'm on top of my game.
Exactly. So let's talk about lifestyle a little bit, because you are building a reputation, a name for yourself. $1 million listing obviously was huge for you. It really catapulted you, into the limelight. Of course, working, with Louise, who was probably my favorite cast.
I love her. I do.
Is definitely a plus. But you're also, a mother, you're a wife, you have to juggle and have this balance. So what's your routine? How do you stay sane, especially in the ups and downs and the roller coaster that real estate is?
That's a tough one. There's a lot of ups and downs in this business. I think, I'm a big believer in manifesting. I manifested everything in my life thus far. And so just looking at kind of the rainbow at the end, the light at the end of the tunnel, knowing that you're going to get through this. Not every year is going to be the same. You're going to have some rough ones. You're going to have some great ones. That's just the nature of the business. When you own your own business, not every year is amazing.
Completely.
We went through COVID.
Right.
And if we could go through that.
Right.
And then, we had the best year in real
Yes,
estate
we had
after
the
COVID.
best year. I know.
So, there's going to be ups and downs, and just kind of looking at the big picture is super important, because you could just have a bad week, honestly,
Right.
and just be like, I hate this job. I hate this career. I hate all my clients. Everybody's annoying me. Nobody knows how to do their job.
Right.
And then you just wake up and you're like, okay, on to the next. It's a new week. It's a new day. Move on.
But there's nothing like the feeling when you close that nightmare deal. It's
Yeah.
just such an inner self-satisfaction.
Totally.
It's like,
Finally.
Yeah.
Like a relief.
And really,
Sigh of relief.
but you closed it.
Yeah.
You closed it. It
100%.
happened.
Yeah. And like I said, every deal teaches you a lesson. So knowing that, sometimes there's disappointment in this business, and it's just going to lead to something else. And you just kind of have to look that there will be a light at the end of the tunnel, and maintain focused on, getting through it, getting through the rough waters.
and riding the wave.
Managing your disappointments.
Totally.
Absolutely. If you can't get through those disappointments, that you can't get to the wins.
And honestly, I say to the girls on the team, like, every deal has a problem. So if you go into the deal knowing that there will be an issue and you're going to have to try and solve it, you're ahead of the game.
I tell
You're not disappointed.
Right.
I do coaching, not coaching, but realtors, people in the industry, and because I've been here for so long, and I pass on my wisdom, and I always tell them, like, when they're going through a difficult deal, I'm like, this is amazing that you're going through this, because you're learning so much. You're getting that much better at your craft, and so that's why I give it to God, but I say that's why you're going through this challenge. It's like you're being molded in that moment. So take it in, take all these challenges in, and learn.
And also,
Learn
you
from
won't,
it.
like, if you're making a mistake or something didn't go your way, you're never going to let that happen again.
Exactly.
So your next deal should be smoother.
Oh yeah,
Right?
That's for sure.
You're never
happen.
going to let that happen again. If you forgot to mention something to a client, you're never going to let that happen
Especially the bigger the mistake, you will
Yeah.
not let that happen
again.
again.
Right. So you have to go through it in order to get better.
Exactly. And now recently, with the changes, with the agreements that need to be signed, disclosures, Talia's an expert at explaining all of these.
Buyer agency.
Exactly. Let's talk buyer agency.
I-
So how are you flowing through?
I
all
blame
that?
them. I say, there's new
The
laws.
attorney's fault. It's always the attorney's
Literally, I'm like, listen,
No, it's always title's fault at the end of the day.
I'm not an attorney. This is a legal document. It's required by the state. I wish you didn't have to sign it, but you do.
Right. Are you doing this right before you're walking into the condo
It depends on the relationship.
property?
Yeah, it depends on the relationship. It's usually a conversation so that they're aware that there's going to be documents that they need to sign. I explain what's going on. It really just depends on the
So
relationship.
you got over the hump pretty easily, like.
Listen,
rolled
if
right
people
into it.
want to work with me, they're going to work with me. I'm not going to beg you to work with me.
I love that.
I'm providing you a service. This is a service industry. You're trusting me because I know more than you about this. This is what I do every single day. So if you want my expertise, it comes with a price. You don't go to the doctor and then ask for a discount.
Exactly.
The doctor is there because they did all of this school and know what they're talking about. So we trust them. If you're trusting me as your real estate advisor, this is how it goes.
I want to ask you something because as I'm sitting here with you, I feel that you have such a beautiful self-worth. Have you done personal development? Have you invested in personal development?
No, but I feel like becoming a mother is going through a course.
This just came naturally.
Yes,
You. Okay.
I mean, so it just changes you. I feel like it changes you, and I don't have time to waste, right?
Exactly.
I want to spend time with my kids. I have a husband who I actually really like. I'd like to spend time with
I
him.
love that.
We do this. I don't live to work. I'm working to live. I want to make money so that I can enjoy my life. I can go on vacations. I can experience the things I want to experience. I could buy myself a Chanel bag. I'm not relying on anybody else. So, I'm doing this it's a means to an end. But luckily I like what I do. And if it's going to be a problem, I just don't have time for it, right? I have other things that I need to focus on. I have kids to raise. I have mouths to feed. I live in an Upper East Side co-op. I have a mortgage to pay.
Right.
So there just comes a point in time where you kind of understand that you have to make money. And if these people aren't taking you seriously, you move on.
You just move on to the next.
You have to. You don't have time.
And you have your why. You have your why.
Correct.
I think it's really important when you come into this industry to have your why.
Yeah, your sense of purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Ronnie, before we wrap up, our last question to you is: where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What are your goals? What type of, what's your growth outlook for yourself?
Honestly, I love and hate this question. I'm just trying to get through May.
One day at a time.
Literally, the next 5 years. So consistently, I want to maintain and grow my business. We are in the $1 million GCI club. I'd love to double that.
Great.
I'd love to get
Congratulations,
2 million,
my love.
3 million. Thank you.
Are you making Ellie's all the way?
Oh, well, I'm at Compass now.
Exactly.
So
Oh,
we
Compass,
do our
I'm
own
sorry.
little,
You said Douglas Elliman before.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
No, I was at Elman for 8 years. Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that because I'm not here to win any awards. I'm here because I want to cross off my own goals and kind of beat my own.
It's for you.
Yeah.
And your family and your kids.
Correct.
I
I mean, I did a deal now that was the biggest of my career. I want to do another.
Yeah.
Right. I want to do more than that. I want to beat my own record.
And you set the bar high for yourself. And I think as agents and as professionals in this real estate industry, it is always about, being better than you were last year or even last month, and just exceeding and keep pushing that bar up. So, congratulations to you and all of your success.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
For our audience that wants to connect with you, what's the best way to connect with you?
My email address, ronita.kalra@compass.com. You can follow me on Instagram @RonnieKalra. I mean, my information is everywhere.
Okay, great.
Love it.
Thank you,
Love
everyone,
it.
for tuning in,
Such a
and we'll
treat.
see you
You're
soon. And thanks
amazing.
again, Ronnie.
Thank you. Thanks,
Take
Ronnie.
care, everyone.
You have been tuning into Dominate Real Estate Podcast, the $1 Million Blueprint, live from the Hard Rock Hotel in New York City, with your hosts, Taliya Bashani and Carina Tom. For more information, please visit our Dominate Real Estate page on Instagram. You can also watch the show across all media outlets, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, and more. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, and questions, and please share this show with your network.